My children, gather close. Let me tell you a story that will teach your heart never to give up, even when the world turns its back on you. For life, my children, has a strange way of hiding blessings behind pain and angels behind ordinary faces. This is the story of a girl named Amara, born in a small village near Enugu, a place where the red earth kissed the feet and the air smelled of roasted maize. Her name, Amara, meant grace, and truly, grace followed her from the day she cried her first cry. But, as the elders say, the child loved by the gods often walks a path of thorns. Amara's mother, Ngozi, was a woman of peace and laughter, the kind that sang, even when fetching water from the stream. But death, that wicked visitor, came too early. When Amara was just 8 years old, her mother died after a long sickness that drained every smile from their home. Her father, a palm wine tapper named Okechukwu, tried to stay strong. But a man cannot mother and father a child alone forever. Soon the village women began to whisper he should take another wife, and so he did. Her name was Adaeze, beautiful, smooth-skinned, and sweet-tongued. At first she came into their home like morning dew, soft, humble, gentle. But my children, not every snake hisses at first bite. Soon the true Adaeze showed her face. Her sweetness turned to bitterness, her laughter to poison. For she could not bear the sight of little Amara, the child whose eyes looked too much like the dead mother. At first, she only scolded her. Amara, go and fetch water. Amara, sweep this compound again. Amara, why do you eat like a goat? But when Okechukwu went to the farm, Adaeze would beat her until her small body trembled. Sometimes, she would pour hot pap on the floor and force Amara to lick it, laughing while the poor girl cried. Yet Amara never complained to her father. Papa already has too many worries, she would whisper to herself. Let me not add to them. Still, the gods were watching. One day, Okechukwu fell from the palm tree while tapping wine. The villagers carried him home lifeless. Just like that, Amara became an orphan. Her cries echoed through the night, but her stepmother's eyes were dry. Adaeze sold Okechukwu's farmland, took his savings, and began to live like a queen, leaving Amara to suffer like a beggar in her father's house. From dawn till dusk, the girl worked. She fetched firewood, washed clothes, cooked food she was never allowed to eat, and slept in the goat shed. Sometimes she would whisper to her late mother's spirit, Mama, do you see me? Will my life always be like this? But, my children, when destiny is not yet finished with a person, even suffering becomes a teacher. One harmattan morning, when the wind was cold and dust filled the air, Adaeze called out to Amara, pack your things and get out of this house. I am tired of feeding a useless orphan. Amara dropped to her knees. Mama Adaeze, please, where will I go? The woman hissed. Go and find your destiny in the city. Maybe hunger will teach you sense. And so, with only a small bag, no money, and tears in her eyes, Amara began to walk barefoot along the long dusty road to Enugu city. She walked for hours. The sun burned her neck, and her stomach cried louder than her mouth. Still, she kept walking. When she reached the main road, she sat beside a small bush and whispered, God, if you are real, please don't let me die like this. Just then, an old man in tattered clothes approached her. His voice was deep, his beard white as cotton. My daughter, he said, why are you sitting here alone? Amara bowed. Sir, I have nowhere to go. My stepmother sent me away. The man smiled faintly. Then keep walking. But remember this. Sometimes the road that looks empty leads to your destiny. Do not stop. Before she could thank him, he had disappeared as if the wind carried him away. Was he a spirit? She didn't know. But his words gave her strength. Amara stood and kept walking until she reached the city. The noise, the cars, the smell, everything was strange. She spent that first night sleeping near a kiosk, covering herself with cardboard. The next morning, she began to beg for food. Days turned into weeks. She washed plates at a roadside restaurant for little pay and often ate leftovers. But she walked with joy and humility, and the people began to notice. Even in rags, she smiled. The restaurant owner, Mama Effie, would say, this girl has something pure about her. Then, one rainy evening, while Amara was cleaning tables, a black Range Rover stopped in front of the restaurant. A man stepped out tall, well-dressed, confident. He had the kind of presence that made the air pause. His name was Chief Kenechukwu Okafor, a billionaire businessman known across Nigeria for his empire, hotels, oil, real estate. He came in quietly and asked for food. When Amara served him, her hands trembled, not because he was rich, but because she hadn't seen kindness in anyone's eyes for so long. And when Chief Kenechukwu looked at her, he saw something too humility wrapped in suffering, a spark buried under dust. "What is your name?" he asked. "Amara, sir." "Do you go to school?" She shook her head. "No, sir. I stopped when my father died." He nodded slowly. "You remind me of someone I used to know." He finished eating, left a generous tip, and walked out. But destiny had already written another page. 2 days later, a black car returned. This time, his driver came out with a message. "The chief wants to see you," he said. Amara followed nervously to a huge office building, glass walls shining like mirrors. When she entered, Chief Kenechukwu smiled. "I need a house help," he said. "Someone honest." Mama Efe said, "You work hard. Will you work for me?" Tears filled her eyes. "Yes, sir, I will do my best." And so Amara's new life began. The mansion was bigger than anything she'd ever imagined. Chandeliers, golden staircases, marble floors. But what touched her heart most was not the luxury, it was the kindness. Chief treated her like a daughter. He made sure she ate well, slept well, and enrolled her in evening classes. He would say, "Education is the wings that lift a poor child above poverty." Months passed. Amara began to bloom. Her English improved, her confidence grew. The staff loved her. Even Chief's business partners admired her humble spirit. But, my children, where there is light, darkness always tries to creep in. Chief Kenechukwu's cousin, Uche, was jealous. He believed he was the rightful heir to the chief's wealth. When he saw how close Amara had become to the chief, he began to whisper evil words. "Chief, how can you trust a girl from the street? What if she's after your money?" But Chief ignored him. "You cannot understand grace," he said simply. Then one day, Chief fell terribly ill. Rumors spread like wildfire. Some said he was poisoned. Others said it was his time. While the family members fought over his wealth, it was Amara who stayed by his bedside, praying day and night. Before he slipped into a coma, Chief called her closer. "Amara," he whispered weakly, "in my safe is a letter. When I'm gone, open it. It will guide your path." Tears fell down her cheeks as she held his hand. "Please, sir, don't talk like that." He smiled faintly. "Remember, grace never forgets its own." A week later, Chief Kenechukwu passed away. The mansion turned into a battlefield. Family members gathered like vultures, tearing through his properties. Uche led the chaos, accusing Amara of witchcraft. "This orphan has bewitched my uncle. She must leave." They threw her out of the house with nothing but the clothes she wore. She wept as she walked away, feeling like her life had shattered again. But fate was not finished. In her pocket, she found a small key and a note, the one Chief had mentioned. The letter read, "My dear Amara, if you are reading this, it means my time is done. In you, I saw the same spirit my late daughter had, a heart of gold. Go to Zenith Bank, account number written below. I built that account for the foundation you will lead, Amara Hope Foundation. Use it to change lives, just as faith changed yours. You are the daughter I never had, Chief Kenechukwu Okafor." When Amara opened the account, she almost fainted. There were 500 million inside. She couldn't believe it. The man she had served with a pure heart had rewarded her with destiny itself. From that day, Amara began her mission. She returned to the streets where she once begged, feeding orphans, paying school fees, and building shelters. Her story spread across Nigeria like wildfire, the orphan girl who became a blessing. Even the media came. When they asked her what motivated her, she said softly, "Pain is not the end of a story, it's the beginning of purpose. My stepmother threw me away, but God picked me up." Years later, fate brought another twist. At an award ceremony for humanitarian work, an old, wrinkled woman approached her timidly. It was Adais, her stepmother. Life had humbled her. She was thin, her eyes tired. She fell to her knees, weeping. "Amara, forgive me. I wronged you." The hall went silent. All eyes were on Amara. She lifted the old woman gently and said, "Mama Adais, if you hadn't pushed me away, I would never have found my destiny. I forgive you." The crowd erupted in applause. Tears rolled down faces. That day, Amara showed that true strength is not in revenge, but in forgiveness. And so, my children, the girl who once slept in a goat shed became a beacon of hope for millions. The elders say, when the wind blows against you, it may only be pushing you toward your destiny. Amara's life was proof. Moral lessons. Never despise humble beginnings. Your struggle is shaping your strength. Kindness returns with abundance. What you give from the heart never dies. Forgiveness frees the soul. Revenge only chains you to the past. The rejected stone can become the cornerstone. Destiny does not consult bloodlines. Grace recognizes grace no matter where you start. Your heart will always draw your blessings to you. My children, that is the story of Amara, the poor orphan maltreated by her stepmother who ran into the hands of a billionaire that changed her life. Let it remind you that no condition is permanent and that even from ashes, a rose can grow. For as we say in our land, when the gods write your name in the book of destiny, even your enemies will unknowingly help you reach it. And that, my dear children, is where our story ends tonight. If you ever find yourself lost, remember Amara, the girl who walked barefoot into her miracle. Until the next moon rises, may your paths be blessed, your hearts be kind, and your destinies be greater than your beginnings. For this story, my children, came from the heart of Africa and was told to you by Folktales of Many Tribes, where every story carries the spirit of our ancestors and every word reminds us that no one is too small for greatness.